Hello, everybody. I am Technovoid, your host, and bucket of toothpaste. And with me is Hamsterwings, your favorite Pokemon analyst.
That's me.
That's him. And we're here today with the wrap-up for TDD Season 4. So today, I feel like we do this a little bit differently every season. We don't really have a good way of doing this, but just we're going to go over the... what do you call them? The awards, and then we're going to talk about every team this season in just some minor detail, give pointers where we can, and otherwise just discuss how we think everyone did. So starting off with the awards, we've got the carry here. So the carry is basically the Pokemon that sort of held a team together, came to a lot of matches, did a lot of good, even if it wasn't the kill leader. And it came pretty close at the end, but Rillaboom did win this one, and I think Rillaboom deserved to win this one. I was
feeling either Rillaboom or Zardwai.
Yeah. As we could see here, those are the two that I ended up voting for. I'll just say it. I'm glad Porygon 2 didn't win this one. because frankly, I think there were other Pokemon on Steven's team that were more carry-ish, but people would have rioted if they didn't see Porygon 2 on this list. Yeah, I definitely think that Rillaboom and Zardwai were definitely the two biggest contenders for this, and I'm glad that Rillaboom won just because it was frightening, and a lot of Diggory's team was just based around it, and it worked.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
Okay, alright, moving on to the Executioner, and this one's actually a little bit fun because we actually have a tie. We have a tie between Moltres, Galar, and Galvantula. So the Executioner is basically the Pokemon that did get kills. It was the scariest thing. When it comes out onto the field, it's like you are fearful of it. It becomes a priority target. And it is between Moltres G and Galvantula. And I definitely think Galvantula was super strong. I personally would give the tiebreaker to Moltres G because I just thought it was scarier when it was on the field. What do you think?
I think so too. The amount of play that you have to do around it to not proc its item, to not put it in Berserked.
Yeah.
Statistics aside, I think Moltres is the scarier thing.
The scarier thing, yeah. And I do also... this isn't so much as Moltres, but I also think Diggory's team was better at supporting his Executioner because he had that Comfy. And, he had those things that could constantly... He could constantly proc Berserk, proc his weakness policy, and then heal up and basically just make himself stronger and stronger and stronger. Whereas Galvantula, it did just shoot off Rain Thunders, and that's fine, but it didn't really get any support from the team, I feel like, in any meaningful way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so we'll give it to Moltres G then. So congratulations, Moltres G, on the Executioner. So that is 2 in a row for Diggory. Let's check out what's next. The Bastion. The Bastion, obviously, is a Pokemon that just refuses to fucking die. And it went to Porygon 2, and, yeah. I get it. This is one of the few where, I think Porygon 2 was honestly overhyped this season. I think Meteor Bower used it very well, but I think so much of Porygon 2's power came from people not respecting it. And letting
I really agree with that.
And letting it take over games in a way that it really should not have. I think there were actually, this was one of the awards where there were a lot of really good options. I think Jellicent would have been a great option. Amoonguss would have been a great option. Even something like a Melmetal or even Slowking Galar, I think would have really been good here. But I do understand it going to Porygon 2, despite the fact that should it have been? Probably not. But the fact is, it was.
Yeah.
And the entire season did sort of revolve around that. So, I think that's a perfectly fine thing. How do you feel about the Bastion in general and this season? How do you feel about the tankiness this season? I feel like we have had a less tankier season than usual. I feel like we usually see shit like big hitters like Ferrothorn here.
I think we've only seen Ferrothorn once in the whole draft, or maybe twice.
Perhaps, yeah. I think it was twice. I think Lynx had it, and I think that guy had it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't remember who got Bastion last season.
Me neither.
I could check. It was Goodra.
Ah.
There we go. Alright, okay, so that's it for Bastion. Congratulations to Porygon 2. Next up, the Comrade works well with others. I think there were a lot of good options here. I think it makes sense that Whimsicott got it.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
The Comrade basically was a Pokemon that, synergized well with the team. Was able to come in a wide variety of team comps, support a lot of its teammates in a lot of different ways. And Whimsicott, of course, is one of the best support Pokemon in TDD. It's very good value B tier. It's been picked every season. It will probably continue to get picked every season for quite some time, just because it's such good value.
You say that about Whimsicott, but the same is also true about Gastrodon.
For sure. No, I think Gastrodon, and honestly, had Gastrodon won this instead of Whimsicott, I would have not batted an eye.
Yeah.
Because Gastrodon was very good for Post's team. Post's team really benefited from having Gastrodon. Not only was it great at living and great at getting kills, both things that it did this season, it also did support the team very well with, Storm Drain, obviously, and just being on the field and being annoying. Honestly, it could have gone to either of those two. I do think the next three runners up here, Hariyama, Weavile, and Silvally, I also think were also all very, very good. However, I do understand they didn't get it in comparison to like Gastrodon and Whimsicott. I do think those were better. I can just say for Silvally, at least personally, the only reason Tailwind was possible for me 2 times this season was because of Silvally. And one of those games I won. So, there's that. But yeah, I think Whimsicott's a great pick here. Moving into the Cleric, this is always a little bit of a strange one. There's not too many Pokemon that we can really give it to. The Cleric is basically a Pokemon. It's similar to the Comrade, but it's more so on, buffing your team, using heals, using things like screens, tailwinds, that kind of stuff. And so Whimsicott was again here. Amoonguss was here because it provided a lot of healing, a lot of redirection. But Comfey wins, and that is to nobody's surprise. I mean, Comfey is a dedicated Cleric. Things like Clefairy could have also been very good Clerics, but Clefairy ended up not really seeing much play this season. So it didn't show up. So I don't think anybody's surprised by that. Moving into the Disruptor, this is a great one. This is a Pokemon that basically was annoying, it was a piece of shit, ruined the other person's day, just made them want to tear their hair out, and Jellicent wins this, and thank God. I think Jellicent deserved this so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking at the other ones here, what do we have? We have Slowking, Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl, I think, was also pretty good. Grimmsnarl, I feel like, could have also fit under Cleric, potentially, but I think it's fine here. Rune, Mime, Weavile. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to Jellicent. I think this is a really good pick. Moving into the wild card Pokemon that you really didn't know what the hell it was going to do on Team Preview, and it goes to Smeargle, and I mean...
Yeah,
that is Smeargle in a nutshell, is the master of surprises. We have actually a 3-way tie for second place between Latios, Klinklang, and Behaim here. And I can see all of those. I mean, Latios was kind of a coverage bot in a lot of ways this season. Klinklang did a lot more stuff than I expected, honestly. And Behaim was bad, but it did do something unique every match.
It's true.
So that's that. Any thoughts on this one? Or are you happy Smeargle won?
I mean, I feel like it's expected. It's the Pokemon that can do literally anything, but then again, so is Mew.
It's true. Mew is also Mew. I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't want to sound like I'm coming off as super, full of myself. But I do feel like Mew has gone underutilized in TDD. I think it gets chosen a lot, but I don't think people necessarily are able to embrace its chaotic energy that well. I feel like people I feel like there's cases where it either ends up being too samey every season. I think last season Mew ended up being relegated as purely a support Pokemon, which I think didn't work out for it. And something like this season where Peanut he goes too far to the point where none of the Mew sets work.
Yeah, Mew's just hard to use.
It really is, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's wild card. Next up, we've got the Secret Weapon, a true pocket pick. Basically, a Pokemon that didn't come very often, but when it did, it was central to the victory. And, I mean, Durant and Vileplume, I think, both make a lot of sense, and Durant wins.
Nice.
You happy about this one?
My boy Durant.
Your boy Durant. We're not pushing him to B tier, though. Durant's staying in C tier.
Why would he be B tier?
Because you thought he was B tier.
Yeah, but he misses.
It's true, he does miss.
But when he hits, he hits.
He does hit. Yeah, I mean, I think Durant made a lot of sense here. Cradily, I mean, I also think would have worked really well just because it came once and it just destroyed that Rain team.
It's true.
But that was just a matter of just being a very good pick. And I think that goes more to Feanor, to just recognizing after an entire season of not using Cradily how powerful that pick was into that match.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the showstopper. This one goes to Mega Ampharos, and I'm honestly not sure how I feel about that.
A fight to remember.
Yeah, so a showstopper was basically a Pokemon that like made matches interesting, made matches fun to watch, and I do think Mega Ampharos definitely deserves like stuff elsewhere. I'm not sure it really deserves this. I mean, people voted for it, but I'm not really sure what it did that made any particular match super interesting, other than just.
I mean, it was a TR sweeper. That was it. There wasn't a lot of variance to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah.
I don't know. It came out and it did what it needed to do, but I don't know. Showstopper's a weird award, right?
That's a true point. Yeah, it's the way I think of it when I sort of vote is I think of like the Pokemon that like styled on the enemy team.
Right.
So what did you vote for here actually?
I think I don't remember.
Yeah. I voted for Inteleon and Breloom, as is seen on this page right now. But yeah, I mean, congratulations to Mega Ampharos. I personally wouldn't have voted for it. I personally didn't vote for it, but congratulations to Ampharos. Something that Ampharos, I think, definitely much more deserved, though, was the Miracle, which is basically the C tier that rose above expectations. Fun fact, Mega Ampharos was originally not on this list.
Yeah.
When we originally set this up, it was me, Hamsterwings, Peanut Scratch, and Meteor Bower, and we did one per team, and Crustle, except for my team, because all I had was C tiers and they all sucked. We put Crustle on the list because Crustle impressed us. We looked at Mega Ampharos and we were just like, well, it did well, but we kind of expected it to do well for a C tier, because it's, a pretty decent C tier. And then I sort of came back after, like, a couple hours, and I was like, guys, if we don't put Mega Ampharos on here, people are going to be angry at us.
Yeah.
And it looks like we were right, because it won this one by a decent chunk.
I mean, to be fair, it did deserve it.
It did deserve it. It did really well. I mean, it was one of the kill leaders of the entire season, and it stayed at the top of the MVP race for the entire time. So congratulations to Mega Ampharos for that. Definitely something I think that people are going to be having their eyes on in the future when they're thinking about Megas. At least personally, I can say that I have always given some consideration to Mega Ampharos when I'm like drafting a C tier Mega, but it's never it's never been something that I'm like, yes, this is what my team really, really needs this season. With Egg, I think it worked very well, and I think definitely more people are going to remember it exists now that we've seen it play. It is it's slow, and it does a lot of damage, and it's got Mold Breaker.
Yeah, Mold Breaker's huge.
Yeah, and finally we have the Flop, which is the high-tier Pokemon that had great expectations and did not meet them, and this goes to Landorus Therian.
Wow.
By quite a wide margin, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I think it's overrated in draft.
Yeah. Landorus Therian had just been unbanned for the first time.
And just to be clear, it was only banned because none of us like it.
Yes, it was not banned because we thought it was too good. So we brought it down to S tier. It was picked, and it went 0 and 4. And the thing is, because it really is not difficult to prep for.
Yeah.
It is a very good Pokemon, especially in doubles. It's very, very good. But when you're not on ladder, when the other team knows that you have it, it's still centralizing, but everything can just carry ice coverage.
Yeah.
It's not too difficult. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So that is going to be it for the awards.
Yeah.
Woo! Okay, let's...
I'm surprised Megalodios got 2 votes.
Why?
I don't know. I thought it did so badly.
Oh, you expected more votes for it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, this one actually kind of panned out pretty much how I expected, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Well, not me, actually. Mew got very few votes.
Yeah, I mean...
But, didn't Mew win the flop last season, too?
Yeah, I want to say so, yeah. I think Mew won the flop last season. I think
Mew is just so floppable. Like
Yeah.
it's not because it's like bad or anything, just because it's so difficult to use in draft.
Uh-huh.
Like it can pop off in any match, but it's so hard.
Oh, for sure. No, I think Mew actually not getting that many votes makes sense this season, just because Mew we've seen used so many times, whereas we had some like pretty big expectations for like Landorus, Urshifu, I think Thundurus and Articuno were also two. I mean, I think it makes sense that Mew got fewer votes than a lot of these other Pokemon. I mean, it tied with Blaziken and Zarude, which I feel like it probably should have done better than Blaziken here. But alas, it is what it is. It does not surprise me that Necrozma got 0 votes.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about some teams. So starting out with Grooboom Gang here. I mean, I'm not sure what I can really say here other than I think Diggory's draft was quite good. I think his C tiers struggled a little bit in finding a place on his team, but his draft of 6 was really centered around Rillaboom, and it really worked. I know he had a couple of snipes from him, including Mega Blastoise, Keldeo, and stuff like that, and he worked around it, and I think it worked out. I mean, to be fair, he ended up drafting Seeking instead of those, which didn't know about that one, bud. But
Dude, solidarity in having a season without a water type. It happens sometimes, and it's really sad.
you hate to see it. What do you think about Diggory here? I think Diggory last season sort of had some trouble picking up his team. This is very much in line with I think how he played in season 2. Really back up for a contender for making it to the finals again.
I mean, I think the fact that he almost never brought any of his C tiers just speaks to the synergy of his team.
Uh-huh. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, there was like almost never a reason to bring them. Even Hariyama, who's listed very, very low here, did what it needed to do. I think it worked really well. I'm actually kind of surprised to see Latios end up being the MVP of the whole season, because Latios never felt that dangerous to me, like when I was watching matches and when I was like doing it, but it ended up just racking a lot of kills.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right. Any last words for Diggory here?
Not really, just really solid team.
Yeah, really solid team. I think good play, and also just combined with really, really good draft here. Nice. Never mind. I was gonna say nice recovery from having a couple of your water types stolen until I realized what your water type was. So maybe actually not good recovery on that, but yeah. Moving on to Seattle Suicunes. The OJ here. We spoke about OJ last week, but great improvements here.
Drastic improvements
from OJ. I think it's still true that the team itself could have used a lot of work. I think the draft itself was not super strong. He's got 3 water types here at least. I mean, he's got so many electricity weaknesses. Lele, a Psychic Surge with a bunch of Pokemon that don't really like Psychic Surge was a very strange thing. Crobat and Suicune are just 2 Pokemon that OJ just keeps taking. But I think overall OJ used the team well. He I still think he plays too aggressively and too confidently, which ends up making him make sort of mistakes that he wouldn't otherwise make. But I think he's getting better at that, and I definitely think that next season, if his draft is better, he could do pretty well again.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you have any tips for OJ moving forward?
I still think it's like I have a preference toward offense, but OJ only does offense, and that makes him predictable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's not necessarily a bad thing, but being predictable is never great.
Mm-hmm. Have we ever seen a defensive Suicune this season?
We saw Calm Mind Suicune, but it was Calm Mind 2 attacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because he did run some defense last season with Suicune and Yuxi, right?
Yeah. This season there was basically no slowness. Nothing to slow the pace, nothing to take momentum away from someone else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Moving on to Meteor Bower. I don't know there's much we can say here.
Yeah, I mean, his draft was really good.
His draft was really good.
A lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Uh-huh, yeah. I mean, yeah, we sort of went into this thinking like, wow, he has some really no way to change the pace of the match.
I do still think that his lack of speed control is like huge and like very abusable.
One thing that Lazen has described this team as, which I think is funny, is a momentum black hole.
Yeah, basically.
I think that's very fitting. I think definitely, obviously, Meteor Bower has done a great job of like picking Pokemon that synergize together. I mean, especially Porygon. One of the reasons Porygon did so well is just because it's both of the times it's been drafted by him, and it's been drafted in a team that works with Porygon really well.
Yeah.
But also, one thing that I want to make note of here is Meteor Bower got some great use out of his C tiers, I think.
Yeah.
Like
all of them except Centiskorch, basically.
Yeah, yeah. But I definitely think, like, you know, not everybody has a Pokemon that they bring to every game. Like you and me, I don't think had any Pokemon that came to 5 games. Bower does here. He has, you know, Porygon, Mawile, and Grimmsnarl came to every single match. But, you know, Nidoqueen and Vileplume both were here for like a decent amount of the time, and they definitely pulled their weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's it here.
I still think people didn't abuse his speed tiers correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me.
What sort of recommendation would you give going into playoffs?
I mean, for him or for against him?
Against him.
Like, just run, like, only attack boosting natures. You don't need anything else.
Oh, you mean yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like his team's so defensive, in part, but, like, I mean, I almost won the game. I almost won my game against him with 2 Pokemon.
That is true.
Just because they were both really, really strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could just knock through everything, but, you know, you needed the rolls for it.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Which did not happen.
Nope. Moving on to Egg Playing. How did you feel about this draft? I don't know how I feel about this draft. I don't know that I dislike it, but I don't know how I feel.
I think it's an odd draft.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Infernape like doesn't fit here, but yet it came to every game.
Mm-hmm. It's the only
and like
Pokemon that
it did not bad every game.
Yeah, I think it did what it needed to do for the most part. I think it could have done better, but I think it was fine. Egg has been honestly surprising to me because I mean I remember at the beginning of last season, or I don't remember if it was before the season had started or right as the season had started. Egg, you know, was coming to me with Pokemon questions about like very basic mechanics, like natures and speeds and like stuff that is like sort of the core to competitive. And I was thinking, okay, Egg is very new to this. He has no experience with this, but now 2 seasons in a row, he has dominated the competition.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised by how well Egg does consistently.
I mean, if you watch his matches live, he's an incredibly slow player.
Yeah, I mean, he thinks.
And I mean, I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying like he's really thinking every turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which contrasts his team building, which happens I think 10 minutes before a match, probably.
True.
Okay, so any suggestions for Egg?
Looking at this team, it's like I think Zarude was probably a bad pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think Zarude maybe shouldn't be even A tier, but
yeah, it's something to look into in the future potentially.
It's tough, man. A tier is tough.
A tier is a rough one. One thing, and correct me if you disagree with this. This is just something that I'm sort of thinking off the cuff. I think Egg maybe struggles with finding like roles on his team for specific Pokemon. I feel like he would benefit in draft more if in the drafting phase he spent more time thinking about what does this Pokemon do for me.
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, I think in this case it was a theme team, so I mean, actually both of the teams he's run have been theme teams, so there's a little bit less of that. And it more so came into play with the C tiers.
Yeah.
But I still think, just like, even when you are making a pick like Keldeo or Mamoswine, even if it is part of a thematic, still thinking, what role does this play on my team? what are the situations in which I would want to bring it? What are its win conditions, basically? I think is something that I could benefit a lot from.
Like, how does this Pokemon win me a game?
For sure. Okay, moving on to the front facers. Post here almost got the 5-0.
Yeah.
Almost did it. I mean, great showing from Post this season. Very happy with it. He was super nervous about taking Mega Charizard Y at the beginning of the season, but I think it paid off.
Yeah, I think the Pokemon did amazing. Even if it's not like his kill leader or anything, I think it did wonders for his team.
Yeah, I think it was really, really important.
And I really hope that it was some kind of a confidence booster because he played it well.
He played it well. I mean, he played the whole season well. It basically came down to that last match making a couple of incorrect calls at the beginning that prevented him from getting that 5-0. Even so, he came in first place. Very impressive. Depending on how Season 5 goes in terms of people signing up, Post may see himself in Timer Ball next season, potentially. No,
Depends, yeah.
Who's to say? Advice here? I think definitely Post could have given a bit more thought to the C tiers. I don't think there's any problem with, like, finding a set of higher tier Pokemon that you're very comfortable bringing to every single match. I mean, that's something that Diggory has done. That's something that Meteor Bower has done. And I see no problems with that here, but just it seems like even with Murkrow, which is something that he picked very early and was like confident on using, these are just Pokemon that really didn't play into the match. So I think when you're making those picks, thinking, what are the situations in which I would want to use these over my SA and B tiers?
Right.
Yeah, I think one thing, and I'm bad at this, but one thing that is recommended is using your C tiers to plug your holes in your team, plug the holes where like your higher tier Pokemon just can't do certain things.
Yeah, like C tiers can be dedicated counters.
Dedicated counters.
That's how I always look at them.
Yeah, and I think Alchemy is definitely something that provided his team a unique niche that he didn't have. But other than that, with like Musharna and Murkrow and to some degree Lapras, I think they just did stuff that other things on the team already did. To some degree. Other than that, any thoughts on Post?
No, I think he did really well this season, from like team building to drafting to play.
Yep, absolutely. Great. Okay, moving on to Feanor. Okay, Feanor is a fun one to talk about because his team is, I'm sorry, but it's garbage.
He really ran in with the ability slow start.
Oh my god. The team, I mean, it really gets described by he chose an entire draft around Glastrier and then didn't take Glastrier despite the fact that it was up.
Yeah.
Is what it comes down to. He had some real trouble figuring out how this team worked in the first couple weeks, but once he picked up, dude, he picked the fuck up.
Yeah, it's true.
Picked the fuck up. Do you have any recommendations for him moving forward? Either in drafting or in actually playing?
Honestly, I think he played so well toward the end, and the reason he didn't play well at the start is just because he picked such an awkward team.
Mm-hmm.
So if anything to improve on, I think it would just be like the long plan of your draft.
Mm-hmm.
Like the long-term plan of your draft. What can you pick? What are your backups? You know, there needs to be a light at the end of the tunnel that you're drafting towards.
Right. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think had the team been more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not standard. Standard's not the word I'm looking for. Conventional. Had the team been more conventional, I think he definitely could have made top 3 here. Just because he is a good player, definitely. But it just, the unconventionality of it made him struggle for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like once he got it together, once he like thought about his win cons, thought about his synergy, thought about like order, thought about priority, all that stuff, like he popped off.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right.
Like his last 2 games were like a stomp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Didn't he lose his 4th game?
I don't remember, but 2 of his games were a stomp, and like one of them was like well played, even though he lost.
Yeah. Against Egg playing, the big thing there is he did lose, but getting that tailwind up at the end with Kartana and sort of giving Diancie that chance to win, I think was big.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving into our only new player this season, Whiskey Tattoo. What did you think? First impressions on Whiskey?
I mean, if you're new to Pokemon, building a rain team is a good way to go.
I don't have notes, but in my head before this, I was thinking, what can I say about Whiskey? And the one thing I wanted to say is, I know I give people shit for rain teams. Rather, I don't give people shit for rain teams, but I make fun of the fact that every season has a rain team. But I do just want to say, if you're new to a draft format, there is no better way to learn the draft format than with a weather team. Especially a rain team. Because you have a built-in synergy from the start.
Yeah, it's very simple to draft towards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots of options, lots of things that benefit from rain, several things that set rain. I mean, it works. Otherwise, how do you feel about Whiskey's play, Whiskey's TDD debut?
I think he went from like this is standard rain team and eventually like found his own play style within it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the amount of times Galvantula has come to the games show, I feel like, how he's adapted as a player.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like. I know Incineroar came to a lot of games, but he didn't like bank on Incineroar.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a lot more of the offensive Pokemon.
Yeah.
And like Amoonguss also.
Yeah. Urshifu surprisingly put in not too much work. Do you think Urshifu's just hard to use, or what do you think the issue with Urshifu was?
I mean, yeah, I do.
Okay.
I think because it's simple, it's easy to prep for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that makes it hard to use.
Fair enough. Yeah. Otherwise, very, very fun debut from Whiskey. Looking forward to seeing what he pulls next.
Yeah, I think now that he has like the confidence and a baseline.
Yeah, for what a draft format is, yeah.
Yeah, I think he'll be more comfortable drafting like a team with more personality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's sort of what we saw with Diggory, his brother, season 2, with I mean, apparently, according to Meteor Bauer, there was some method to the madness of the draft in season 2, but we legit just looked at it and we're like, oh, he's just drafted the highest BST Pokemon in every tier.
Right.
It's like we predicted the next couple of drafts from him just by like, oh, this one has 600 BST. That's the one he's picking, and it sure was. But it worked well for him. I think Whiskey definitely has a lot of potential here moving forward. Excited to see how it goes. Moving on to Stormy. This one's tough to talk about. You want to lead off, or should I lead off? I think we both have a lot of useful stuff to say here.
I think the most important thing is to draft around something you can have fun with long term.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think like she went into this season wanting to draft around, haha, I can paralyze my opponent and then they won't have fun, which means I'll have fun.
Yeah.
And it's not that simple when your opponent knows, hey, she has like this thing that flinches me all the time. She has this thing with Prankster Thunderwave. Got a Mr. Mime in there. Got a Dunsparce in there. It's like it's very clear what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want one thing, it is easy to prevent it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think you definitely hit the nail on the head there with her sort of not even win condition, but fun condition was hee I'm evil. And then just it didn't pan out. So not having sort of a secondary situation for your team. I think Stormy will definitely benefit a lot from learning Pokemon better, learning the draft better. I think this was her worst season yet.
I think by a lot. Yeah.
I think in the past, Stormy has played better and had a better time. Even when she gets demoralized from previous seasons, I still think she's able to have more fun just because her teams have never been quite as one-sided.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this came down to just the team being something that just didn't work out for her. That's not to say I don't think this team didn't have any potential. I still think the team had potential. It's just she started trying to unlock it far too late into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this team has like good switch-ins. I don't think it has very good offense. I mean, offense is probably the best aspect of this team, and Stormy's not an offensive player.
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I definitely think Stormy could benefit a lot from drafting something a little bit more conventional next season, sort of the opposite of what I had said for Whiskey. Just like,
Yeah,
you know,
I think just an understanding of the game and like decision making and like the flow of how a battle goes will take her like 2 rungs up the ladder.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Okay, moving into you. For this, do you want to just tell me what your plans were for this season and if they panned out or not?
I mean, I had fun with this season.
Mm-hmm. Your team looked like a lot of fun.
I didn't draft anything that I was particularly like, yeah, this is broken. This is going to win me games.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no, I'm just going to draft Pokemon that I think will be fun together.
Okay.
And they were.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't intend to, like, pop off this season, but I had fun.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything particularly that, like, you've drafted this Pokemon and now you're just like, yes, I'm a fan of this Pokemon now?
Okay, I know you want me to just say I'm going to take Smeargle every season.
No, that's actually not what I was thinking at all. I was actually going to talk about, like, Durant and Teleon.
Okay, well, Inteleon very much surprised me. By, like, week 3, I was like, crap, I drafted this Pokemon, and I'm never going to bring it. It's going to be like last season where I didn't have a water type. And then I brought it to, like, the last 3 games, and it, like, started sweeping them.
Yeah.
So Inteleon was actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's more what I was going into.
Urshifu was about what I expected.
Okay.
It's difficult to use because it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Smeargle was a ton of fun. Rhyperior is still an interesting Pokemon that I'm actually very glad I drafted.
Why is that?
Because it's so weird. It's like not the kind of Pokemon I ever use.
I see.
And it was fun to like put myself in in a mindset that I'm not normally in.
I see. About Durant, I mean, you were surprised that it was a C tier, so you picked it up because it filled a really good role on your team. How are you feeling about Durant now that the season's over?
I think it's broken. Like not literally, but like I think I like Durant a lot.
That's great to hear. So it sounds like you had a good time this season. Unfortunately, you hate to see Gourgeist not that low. I feel like that's partly my fault.
That's okay though, because Durant got rank 44, and that's very important.
And Gourgeist did get 100, which is, you know, it's a fun number, nice number. Yeah. No, I'm not gonna say it.
Just say it.
No, this is bad. There's that stupid. I don't want to encourage people. I feel like I'm encouraging the monkey people again. There's that stupid like Vaporeon like Reddit meme. Like Vaporeon is like the most like, you know, what is it? Sexually compatible Pokemon for humans or whatever. That like there's that copy pasta. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, well there's a copy pasta. About Vaporeon or something, and it just when I was ranking them out, I realized Vaporeon got number 69 and it made me mad.
Oh, I see.
That's all. Alright, moving into Lazdin here. Lazdin, this team is underwhelming.
He locked himself into a very hard theme.
Mm-hmm.
That theme being Pokemon that have never been drafted before.
Yeah, I mean...
That is rough.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of Pokemon that are like unshaved diamonds, or however you put it. Like, there's definitely diamonds that still haven't been drafted, but you have made your gimmick Pokemon that nobody else has wanted to use, which I think is just a difficult gimmick to run.
I mean, the hard part of that is there are hidden gems that have never been picked. And they all synergize really well with stuff that has been
picked, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about this team overall, though? I mean, we just talked about it, but how do you feel about Lazdin, and other than him being a nice guy, obviously?
Yeah. I mean, I think he played it pretty well, but I think the team was so hard to use.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would have liked to see Breloom more. I think that's the one thing I will say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of Pokemon on this team that I definitely have like looked at in the past. Obviously, Florges is something we've talked about, but I think honestly, like Mantine and Naganadel are two Pokemon that I was like really hyped to see more of.
Yeah, I really think Mantine is like potentially really good.
Yeah.
Naganadel is also just scary.
Mm-hmm.
But when you pair it with the stuff he has here, it's just so hard to ever get Naganadel going.
For sure, for sure. Okay. It's my turn. I have to talk now. Okay. Do I regret this season? No. I don't regret this season because this season taught me some very important things via my mistakes. C-tier Pokemon are really great, and I want to continue using them, but the thing is, C-tier Pokemon work best when there are other Pokemon that are better than them that can act as a backbone of a team. Because a lot of C-tiers that are good because with the correct support, with the correct team comp, they can take over something. That doesn't work when all the Pokemon are bad. And that's something...
It's not even bad. Like, I look at your team and things like Typhlosion, that's just a good Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, Aromatisse, that's just a good Pokemon. Delmise, that's just a good Pokemon. But they're C-tiers for a reason.
Yeah. I definitely made some mistakes here. I think one thing that I had some fun with this team, especially towards the start of the season. I would say my first couple matches, maybe with the exception of my shitty match against Peanut, where I just completely played myself. But we had a off the books rematch, which was a lot of fun for me. But like other than that, I had a good time this season. But as the season wore on, as we got further into it, the thing is, I'm glad I chose to do this during a very short season, because the longer this had gone on, the more sick I would have gotten of this team. This might be my least favorite team that I've ever drafted. But what I'm happy about is I've learned some stuff, and I've learned how to draft better, because coming off of this team, I went into this draft with like just a rock solid, thought process on like, this is what my team's missing. Everything covers here. I was thinking like everything on this team, all the picks cover each other super well. I've covered my holes. I have lots of different niches. I have different speed tiers. I'm in a really good position to like use some good strategies here, and it just didn't work because I hadn't considered how these Pokemon play together, and I kind of looked at each one of them by itself and like, this covers these holes for me, and that I just feel like that's not a great way to draft.
Yeah.
So this was a learning experience for me, and while I didn't dislike this team by any means, I still had fun with it. I definitely think that of the teams I've run, it was probably the least enjoyable for me, and I'm looking forward to doing some actual things next season instead of what I've done here.
Yeah.
Moving on to Terrain of Terror, Peanut Scratch.
Mew Snorlax, probably the worst I've ever seen Mew Snorlax used ever in any form of Pokemon.
Oh no.
I mean, understandably so, because like that's not really what he was going for.
Yeah.
I mean, they are a disgustingly good combo, but
yeah, I think yeah, it was. This is sort of a case of, I think my team, Peanut and I are in an interesting dichotomy where I'm like the horse before the cart, where I have this idea and I just push it too far without like thinking about. No, I've said it backwards.
Yeah.
Well, he pushed really hard on the singular idea, and then realized after making an entire draft based on that idea that all these Pokemon share like the same weaknesses. Yep. Whereas I did the opposite thing, where I was so focused on each Pokemon's particular synergy that I didn't think about how the team played overall.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's something. I was so surprised to see Goodra come to one match.
Yeah, that Pokemon is insanely good.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that is telling about this team and is telling about Peanut is that his early picks of like Mew and Mega Blastoise and Xurkitree and stuff did poorly, and then his like late picks of Snorlax and Metagross did really well. I think it just says to like, that's the point where he was like, well, fuck, I need to build a team here instead of a gimmick.
Yeah.
And those are the Pokemon that did well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make a team when you decide on a theme and then make the team.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely think he will definitely, much like me, benefit a lot from sort of going in the other direction, sort of drafting based on Pokemon rather than based on overall team comp, which is sort of the opposite of what I need to do. But that is it. Any other notes for anybody here, or the end of everything overall?
I don't think so. That's the end of the main season,
That
and
is the end.
playoffs are soon.
Playoffs are next week. Very much looking forward to them. I can't wait to lose in quarterfinals and get 2 weeks off of Pokemon. It's going to be very exciting for me. I have to fight Feanor, and Feanor has Speed Boost right now, and he's currently at +4.
Yeah.
Help
He
me!
is.
Help me! Alright. Well, you all have a wonderful week. We all enjoyed the season with you. We have another off-season event coming up very soon, right after finals. Should be coming out very, very soon.
This is probably the most interesting off season we've come up with. I hope.
I definitely I'm super excited for this. I think this is better than anything we've run so far. I hope you all enjoy it. It's going to be a good time. And then Season 5 will probably come, I'm guessing, towards the end of the year. We'll see if Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl have any changes at all to the meta. I'm guessing they probably won't, but
My guess would be no.
my guess would be no, but we'll see what happens. Either way, to the folks that were asking if Season 5 is going to wait until we get a new meta shakeup, no, definitely not. We'll definitely run Season 5 before that. I'm guessing.
I think it would just take too long, right?
Yeah, we would end up having 2 years of no 5th season. So it'll definitely be coming before that. Maybe early next year, maybe late this year. My one concern with starting it in like November, is I do know that folks in December aren't as available. So having December be in a season, I feel like we would either have to start it earlier, like September-ish, or we would have to start it later in like January-ish, and that's something that we have to consider. But either way, we will see you then. We'll see you in the off season. I really think you guys are going to enjoy this one. I'm hyped as hell about it. I've never been this hype in my life, because I'm a bucket of toothpaste and they're not very hype. So I've been Technovoid.
Yeah, it's stagnant.
It's fucking stagnant as shit, dude. It's actually stagnant as toothpaste. Alright, we'll see you next time. Enjoy yourselves. Bye-bye.
We will see ya.